What's going on, Lions fans? Welcome to the Pride Detroit YouTube channel. I'm Meko here, joined with my guy Morgan. And Morgan, it is probably one of the happiest days of the NFL's offseason. We finally get the schedule of the 2024-2025 season. And today we're actually going to be breaking down the Detroit Lions schedule. I'm still somewhat surprised that like a day like today is so anticipated, considering the fact that like it's not anything drastically new. We're really just learning who the like when the Lions are playing the opponents that we've already known about since the season ended, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, don't get me wrong, too. Like, I'm sure if you don't know at this point, but I'm a season ticket holder, so I go every game. So that's exciting. But I still, yeah, I'm with you, Miko. I don't get how it's like there's whole Twitter accounts out there and content aggregators that just make their bread off of schedule release day, like releasing the schedule 3 hours before it's going to be. I mean, I guess you can get a jump start on buying flights, but I don't think it's really going to pay that much.
I was gonna
Do
say
that
like
much, right?
I was gonna say like you can probably get a jump starter on buying flights, but tickets still aren't on sale yet. So like you're still kind of waiting, even just to see like if you can afford ticket prices, because we know that's always going to go up as well. But this is still fun because again, even though we know the opponents that the Lions are going to be playing, how your schedule lines up is still important. When your bye week hits is really important. If you're a team in the NFL, and again for fans, it's also really important because it's always exciting to see. Okay, well, how many prime time or nationally televised games is your team going to get? It wasn't too long ago when the Lions were basically shut out of nationally televised games except for Thanksgiving. Last year it was a kick in the right direction. I think they started with five. I think they got an extra one just because of how things were trending near the end of the season. So going into, that is one thing to be excited about, I guess, when it comes down to schedule release day.
Yeah, for sure. And like I get it. Like the NFL is masterful at this, man. They've turned everything into a spectacle. Like schedule release, uh, combine, which back in the day didn't it was not a whole lot of fuss around the combine, man. It was just kind of a thing passing in the night if you weren't really tapped into it, like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it's an exciting time, and the fans are going to be excited, right, Miko? When we start talking numbers here, man, that was awesome to see that the NFL give the Lions like this is a big. All right, y'all are up, right?
Yeah, no, and I think with that said, like we can kind of jump into it and jump and look at the first six games the Lions have on their schedule. Like you said, Morgan, it is something to be excited about. I mean, the Lions last season, winning their division, winning two playoff games, are starting to be seen as legitimate contenders in the NFL. And I think once we start going through the number of prime time and nationally televised games, like it's something that fans should definitely be excited about because this team has definitely put the league on notice. But it was kind of speculated by a number of people, the last few days or so. The Lions will be starting the season with a rematch against the Los Angeles Rams on Sunday Night Football at home. I'm I don't know how to feel about this. I'm not going to lie to you. I love the fact that they get another primetime spot to start the season. The first two games are a little bit like and it's only because like I feel like we've seen this already and now I have to rewatch it. But that doesn't mean that it won't be exciting, right, Morgan?
Yeah, like they could have at least waited to the end of the season to do this, right? Like they didn't need to just do it right away. But at the end of the day, the NFL knows this is going to do numbers with the
Yeah.
ratings because it certainly did last year. It was one heck of a game, like the craziest, coolest sporting event or just event I've ever been to in my life, to be honest with you. But yeah, funny way to begin the season. It's a little bit like, oh, okay, now, all right, like but
Yeah, like we get it. The Stafford golf storyline is a fun one, or even just Stafford Detroit is a fun storyline. But nonetheless, it's again a repeat of two opponents that the Lions saw in the postseason and that they did have good battles with. Obviously, we played Tampa twice last year, playing them in the regular season and then matching up against them again in the postseason. So you get those two right off the bat. Going up against Arizona at Arizona in week 3 is going to be something new. We get a chance to see Marvin Harrison Jr., in person, and his team gets to kind of take him on. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that young rookie kind of adjusts to the league and how the Lions can if they can take advantage of a Cardinal team that is kind of rebuilding a bit here, Morgan.
Yeah, and like surprisingly, a lot of people like Shane Steichen, their head coach. They've got some pieces on defense, and then like you said, Marvin Harrison Jr. Um, yeah, that's going to be it won't be a cakewalk, but it's definitely a game that the Lions should win. If we're talking just like playing the game 10 times in like a simulation kind of deal. Also,
Yeah,
I saw someone brought this up back to week 1 for 1 second. The people were like, "Oh, is Stafford going to get a tribute video this time? Is he going to get like, will he get of like cheered?" I'm like, no, he's going to get booed again, folks. Yeah, okay. I
it's
just
yeah, like
wanted to,
unfortunately,
yeah,
yeah, like unfortunately, like
you're going to
if
get booed.
you got to just lean
Sorry.
into it now if you're the Lions, right? Like it would be
Yeah.
even more weird. I wouldn't be opposed to it, like if they decided to do one, cool. But like it would be weird. Like the last time he was here, you guys booed the hell out of him. I don't know if you can like take that back and be like, nah, tribute video. Though
No.
with that said, if the NBA can do it when LeBron James went to Miami and went to Cleveland the first time, booed the hell out of him. And I literally just saw him like a video a couple days ago where him going back to Cleveland to watch a game and they played a tribute video and he's not even playing. He's just there
So weird.
spectating. So like you
Right.
could. I don't think they will, but you could.
Yeah.
Um
But yeah, back to the
Obviously,
Cardinals.
yeah, so we got the Cardinals in week 3. We have the reoccurring never-ending battle with the Seattle Seahawks. Like I'm starting to feel like the Seahawks are like low key honorary NFC North, members, because it just like the last few years, it's we've been kind of running this back, but we get them on Monday Night Football, another big stage, and let's see if the Lions can finally slay that dragon that's kind of kicked them in the teeth the last couple years.
I certainly hope they can, man. No more Pete Carroll, Tricky Pete, as we like to call him here at Pride of Detroit. But you do have Mike McDonald, really a promising defensive coordinator. A lot of Michigan fans are going to be familiar with that name, coming over from Baltimore, and they obviously have pieces on defense. So this will be another test, man. To if we're chunking it up, I know it doesn't go into thirds exactly anymore or quarters exactly anymore. Excuse me, my math is off because of that last game, but not a bad way to start. It's a dramatic, I will call it dramatic way to start the season, right?
Yeah, I mean, you get out of the first 4 teams that you're playing this upcoming season, 3 of them you played last year, and so 2 of them you got dubs over. One that kind of got you in overtime. But at the same time, in those first 4 games, you get 2 primetime games. You get Sunday Night Football, you get Monday Night Football. So I'm at least hoping that within those first 4 weeks, Morgan, we at least get black jerseys one of those games, whether it's Sunday night or Monday night. I'm assuming it'll probably be Monday. I feel like Sunday night they'll go with like the traditional blues. I'm hoping
Mm-hmm.
by Monday night we get to see the black jerseys in action.
That's a good
Uh,
point. I like that. I like that idea. Let's get to the part we hate and everyone else is going to hate.
yeah, bye week in week 5. This is worse in my opinion now that you have 17 games, right? Because essentially you've only gotten 4 games out of the way at the start of the season, and now you have to go the remainder the next 13 games without a serious break. The Lions do get a little bit of a break later in the season, a little bit, but this is kind of rough on a team, right, Morgan? That is hoping to reclaim the status that they had last season.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, right? Like you can't have it all with your schedule, or rarely, right? So the Lions lucked out. They didn't get an international game, depending on how you look at it. I'm sure some of our friends at Roar the Lions are like, whatever, at least they don't like that opinion. But at the end of the day, we don't have to travel. We don't lose a home game, etc. So yeah, you have that point. And ideally, you have a couple primetime games. The Lions have 9 nationally televised games in total, 5 night games plus Thanksgiving. So you check that. But they did draw the short straw when it comes to the bye week, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a long time, Miko. I know we're going to get to it later, but they do have 10 days off in December, but not the same as like a true a true
Yeah.
bye week and just having that time to get away probably. But they might be able to travel later. We'll see. But yeah, not ideal. Excuse me.
Yeah, 100%. But again, just like we got, you get a little bit of, you get a revenge opportunity with the Seahawks coming out of the bye. You get another really good revenge opportunity with the Cowboys. This is scheduled to be a nationally televised game, even though it's at around 4 p.m. So
Yeah.
ideally, this is that whole like America's Game of the Week type of thing. Lions at Cowboys again. Hopefully, we can get this right this time, Morgan. Right?
Uh, I hope so, man. I hate the Cowboys. Like, if you guys follow me on Twitter, you guys know that I poked the beehive last year after the Cowboys debacle, and there was a couple days there, man. I had to have my Twitter on mute just permanently because it was crazy. But they're a good
Bro.
team. I'm not gonna, we're not gonna lie to you on this channel. They're a really good football team. They're very talented,
Hmm.
but they just can't seem to get over the hump. Like they get into the playoffs and they get curb stomped by the Packers, and I brought out the receipts.
Yeah, and so I mean, again, the Lions hopefully get an opportunity to get that revenge. That team is going to look a little differently. That the Cowboys have lost some pieces, but they're bringing back Ezekiel Elliott. So, um, again, I think this is another good opportunity. Though, again, the Lions get a little bit of an early rest, can go into this Cowboy games hopefully well rested, well prepared, um, and I expect them to have that chip on their shoulder after the way this game ended, after the way that game ended last year. At the very least, what I expect 3 sacks from Aiden Hutchinson because that seems to be a reoccurring theme whenever he plays the Cowboys.
Yeah, man, you get Hutch hopefully going crazy again, and it'll be less daunting this year, right? I remember going into that game. Miko and I sat here on this channel and we talked about how it was going to be tough dealing with CD Lamb. And it certainly was very tough for the Lions secondary as it was constructed then to deal with CD Lamb. But now you get to the point where this is a totally retooled defense, especially in the secondary, right? So it'll
Yeah,
be interesting to see how that, Aaron Glenn approaches dealing with elite special grade receiver like CeeDee Lamb now that he has some more tools at his disposal, like Carlton Davis III, Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw. So, you have options, whereas last year you were kind of just hoping and a praying.
100%. And so you get, and again, this is kind of another, a little bit of a tough swing that the Lions are going to go on here. So how you just said, like, okay, you have to deal with CD Lamb in week 6, week 7. You get Justin Jefferson at Minnesota. It's going to be interesting to see what Minnesota looks like. Again, who's playing quarterback? I don't know if TJ Hawkinson's going to be back from his ACL at this point. We'll kind of have to see, how he's kind of going through his rehab process and things of that nature. But obviously, an early division game in the season. So within your first 6 games, you are getting a division game. This is also, Morgan, the second of 4 road games that the Lions have within 5 weeks. So you have Cowboys, you have Vikings. Going into the next week after that, you have the Titans at home. Tennessee is an interesting one. They're another team that has a head coaching change, and it's going to be interesting to see what type of team this Titans team is without Derrick Henry, without Mike Vrabel. Uh, I'm assuming Will Levis leading the charge at quarterback. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what the Titans look like once the Lions get them in week 8.
Yeah, I agree. And, that's going to be the Vikings will be definitely a toss up, right? You're dealing with it's either going to be Sam Darnold, probably ideally for the Vikings. And if it's not Sam Darnold, something's probably gone wrong. And now JJ McCarthy's out there thrown to the Wolves. Even if you do have the best receiver in football in Justin Jefferson. Titans, there was just some games last year I liked Will Levis. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what game it was. Maybe against Indy, but that line was not protecting him, and he made some throws. And I was impressed. And he was getting battered, like he was getting beat up pretty good. I remember watching that. I don't know why I was watching it. But yeah, that isn't a game that people should just write off, in my opinion. But yeah, it's a tough road stretch in the middle, Miko. With weeks 6 to 10, you only have one game at home, and so 4 out of 5 you're away from Ford Field. So that's not great. But then the opponents aren't all that daunting either when you consider them like in their full context. But did you talk about Houston in that last blurb?
No, I was actually just about to get to because then right after the Titans, you have Packers and Houston.
Gotcha.
Again, two nationally televised games, right? Again, Packers is currently scheduled to be another, America's game of the week, and then you get another Sunday night football opportunity with Houston. Which one do you want to start with, Houston or Green Bay?
Tough, tough. As much as I don't like the Packers and their fans and some of their writers, we won't name names, but these are both good teams. They're really good young teams, pretty akin to the Lions in that regard. Good young quarterbacks and Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud. I would put Stroud above Love in my opinion, just as it stands right now.
Oh, same,
So
same.
yeah, we're definitely gonna have to get used to this, guys. Like playing this many games on just national TV. Like there were just so many years, man. It was just 1 o'clock Sunday. We'll see you here, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's another
And
thing that's going to be interesting to see, like how the Lions adjust. Obviously, they adjusted a bit last year, but I feel like even this year they have more 4 o'clock games than I remember the Lions having in the last few
definitely,
years. And so that's going to be interesting, right? Again, November 3rd, you have a game at 4:25. The next week you have a game at 8:20. Like how again, how does everybody's body adjust? Can the Lions make sure that their guys are mentally prepared, not just physically but mentally prepared to play at these different times? Um, and then you go into November 17th. You have the Jaguars coming back to Ford Field, another opponent that the Lions saw last year. Um, really kind of took it to Jacksonville last year, and so they kind of get another opportunity to kind of flex their muscles there. Obviously, Jacksonville is a team that I think a lot of people still expect a lot from, as far as being a contender with Trevor Lawrence and the type of team that they have over there. But this is another one that I wouldn't necessarily write off as an easy win, just because the Lions took care of business last year.
yeah, for sure, Miko. And like it's the NFL, guys. Like you can lose any game. That's why there's that movie, Any Given Sunday, elite football movie, in my opinion. By the way, but that's for another day.
Fantastic.
Um, yeah, really good. One of my favorites. But any given Sunday really applies in reality too, because there is so much parity in the NFL. With that said, the Jags are kind of shaky in my opinion. They have some good pieces. Obviously, you have Trevor Lawrence, been a little bit up and down. I do like Doug Peterson as a football coach. I think he's good. I think he
They were
just
able to keep
got
Josh Allen as well on the defensive
yeah,
side.
exactly. Like they've got some. You have Trayvon Walker, like who's developing. It's going to get better. So you have pieces. So not something that you can overlook. And I saw this when I was doing my counting. The Lions have 4 1 p.m. starts this year. That's it.
Yeah,
Unless I'm counting that wrong, but four used to be 16
I was gonna
every
say,
year
like,
almost.
I remember the year where Dan Campbell was like, "Love it, like we know what to expect every single week. You know how to be ready. You know how to
I
be
do
prepared."
remember that.
And this year,
2021.
yeah, and this year you're not getting that. You're getting a lot of kind of jumping around. Like again, even going into the November 24th, you're going to the Colts. It's another 1 p.m. game. I think the Colts are kind of in the same boat that you're kind of talking about with the Jags, where it's like they're kind of shaky. Um, I'm at least kind of peaked and at least kind of hoping that Anthony Richardson is healthy at this point, because we didn't get to see him last year, and so outside of just being able to watch the Lions again, hopefully continue to rack up wins, I do want to just kind of see some of this young talent that's in the league. Um, you know, Again, the Colts have Anthony Richardson. They drafted A.D. Mitchell, this year as well. They have Michael Pittman Jr. So there's some weapons there, and it'll be interesting to see specifically like how this Lions defense is kind of grooving at this point of the season. I expect the offense to hit the ground running. It's really going to be interesting. I expect the defense might be a little bit of a slow build this upcoming season.
Yeah, they might take their lumps on that side of the ball. So yeah, this will be a game. I think we're going to try to go to this game. I think just because it's a short little drive.
Yeah.
Um, Never been to Indianapolis. Not that like I know there's probably not a ton in Indianapolis, but the point is it's a short drive. But yeah, this will be a fun. I do agree with you about the Anthony Richardson point. Like I hope he does stay healthy for a full slate, so the Colts and the rest of the league can see what he can do, because all the tools are there. Anything you want and more is physically there for Anthony Richardson. So yeah, I like that, and it's a nice little. It's not a pause or anything, but this next little stretch that we're going to get into here is pretty tough, right, Miko?
Yeah. Yeah. This stretch is kind of tough when you look at Bears, which is basically on a short week, 4 days after they play the Colts on Thanksgiving Day, 12:30 p.m. Kickoff. Um, this is gonna be a tough one, Morgan, and as easy as it would be able to just write this off as, well, it's the Bears, blah 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 blah. It's Thanksgiving and it's on a short week, so a lot of different things come into play. Will this will be the Lions' first opportunity, hopefully, or maybe not, hopefully, I don't know, to see Caleb Williams, to see Rome Odunze, and see what this Bears offense is looking like. Um, and then you get, again, within 7 days, you now are playing the Packers again on another primetime slot on another Thursday. So again, by this point in the season, you've gotten what, 4 conference games knocked out of the way. You've taken care of, hopefully, you've played the Packers twice, you've played the Bears once, and you've played the Vikings once at this point. But this is a tough stretch.
Yeah, and the it's strange yet okay that you have back to back Thursdays, because after the Bears game on Thanksgiving, that's gonna be a tough game, man. The Bears are tough guys. Like, I know we hate their fans too, and they're annoying, but they're good. They're a good young football team, and if Caleb Williams is, I think I've said it recently, but if he's playing a competent level of football, they're gonna be good. They're gonna be tough to deal with, and same goes for the Packers. But at least after the Bears game, you have 7 days to prepare. It's not on a short week. So, and
Yeah,
then after that, you get almost, that's what we were talking about earlier. You get the little pseudo bye week. You get 10 days, right, Miko, before you got to play the Bills at home again. Is this another football or America's game of the week or whatever?
yeah, another nationally televised game as of right now. So again, Lions get the Bills at
Gotcha.
4:25. Again, this could be another really tough stretch, right, Morgan, where you're playing the Bears, you're playing the Packers, and now you got to play the Bills. Uh, Again, those are 3 teams that could be streaking, that could be, having some type of momentum going. Obviously, playing Josh Allen over there in Buffalo is never like an easy task, but it's one of those games where, again, we've seen the Lions get after Buffalo. I think that was the game, that was James Houston's kind of like breakout game 2 seasons ago. So it'll be interesting to see how these 2 teams match up. Once we get later into middle of December.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the Bills are in a unique spot. Like, they're almost reloading on the fly
Yeah,
because they've had, some players have gotten away from them just because everything got expensive quickly, right? Like, they've had a lot of good young talent that they drafted and developed come due pretty quickly. Like, a lot of it wasn't really staggered, and sometimes you can't help that.
yeah,
But yeah, that's a good point. Like, it's going to be a cool matchup again because Josh Allen is freaky. Like, I know he does some boneheaded things sometimes, but he's one of those guys that can legitimately put a team on his back, and he's a runner and he's going to punish you. Like, it doesn't matter if Jack Campbell's hitting him. Josh Allen's going to try to run through you, which is a unique, and he's durable. Knock on wood. Hopefully
yeah,
we don't want anybody getting hurt, but yeah, that'll be a good game. And then you're back on the road again against the Bears, and that's going to be a cold one. That's going to be where I'm sitting downstairs with a
yep,
fire going, chilling.
yeah. Watching people at Soldier Field freeze and just, like, again, laughing at the fans, but hoping the Lions take care of business. One
Yep,
other thing I did want to say about the Bills, I'm going to be a little conflicted watching that game because, I'm becoming a strong Keon Coleman fan. And
yeah,
so
he's funny.
dude is just taking NFL media by storm. But back to the Bears. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Again, playing outdoor games this late in the season, especially if you're playing in the Midwest or, again, anywhere cold, this is going to be a tough one. But fortunately, like, the Lions are built for this type of stuff, right, Morgan? When you have the likes of a David Montgomery and a Jameer Gibbs and an offensive line that's built the way they are, if this game is played in snow, you don't feel like the Lions will be at a disadvantage in terms of being able to put together an effective offense.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about how this roster is constructed now, right? They can beat you in a myriad of different ways. Like, they can be very just they can shift and shape and do what they need to do on a weekly basis to beat you. And if it's a cold, crappy weather game, fine. They're gonna get in heavy personnel. They're gonna get an extra offensive lineman on the field, 2 tight ends, blah blah blah, and they're gonna bludgeon you. They're gonna run right at you,
Yep.
and it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to deal with unless you're one of a few teams that have the guys that can hold up like that. So that's one thing I really love about this roster, and it's deep. These are the weeks here that you might have a skill guy banged up here and there, right? And like
Yeah.
this is where it's going to pay dividends to have guys like Sione Vaki at running back that could step in for a week, or Craig Reynolds, or it's going to pay dividends at corner. Like say Terrion has to miss a week here and there. You have a Meek, you have Rakestraw, you have options. So these games aren't as we're getting late into the season here, and like we talked about earlier, they haven't had a true bye. Minus the 10 days off after the December 5th game against the Packers at home. But this is where it pays to have a deep roster. And I really wish the league would increase the size of NFL rosters. That would be smart. They keep increasing the games.
Might as well, like, right? Might as well
Come on,
increase
man.
the number of
Yeah.
active players and overall roster size. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
So yeah, at Bears, probably going to be some cold weather, but then they get to head back out to California, back to play the 49ers again. Another rematch of the playoffs that the Lions were in last year, and their last primetime game of the season, Monday Night Football, or at least last primetime game as of right now. Who knows how things go? Because as you guys can see, we do not have a day or a time for week 18 against the Vikings. But talk to me about the 49ers game, Morgan. Like, how do you feel about that one being so late in the season?
The NFL knows what they're doing. Like they're hoping that the Niners and the Lions are jockeying for either the 1 or the 2 or the 3 seed, and it's almost like a kind of a playoff game. And the numbers, like the NFL, they're not new to this. They're true to this, guys. Okay,
Yeah.
they know what they're doing. So all these games, and then honestly, that Week 18 game against the Vikings probably isn't going to matter. The Vikings will be worried about their draft here in next April, and the Lions will hopefully have things wrapped up, or maybe they just need to beat the Vikings one more time to ensure something. So yeah, I the Niners game, it's cool because I like when, well, it might be at that point, but it's fun when it's nighttime here on the, technically, I know we're in Eastern Standard Time here in Detroit, right? But
Yeah.
it's cool. It's cool when it's nighttime here and then like the sun's still up where the Lions are playing. It's almost, I like that aesthetic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one. But that's pretty much the schedule, Morgan. And so before we just get out of here, there's a couple other things that I just wanted to run through and just kind of get your thoughts on. When looking at the schedule, now that we've gone through it from week 1 all the way down to week 18, what is the game that you're most excited to sit down and watch? And on the flip side, what is the game or maybe stretch of games that you're just like, yo, like that's tough?
Mm. I'd say week 6 through 10, just because that's a lot of like being like the Lions were good on the road last year. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but that's tough. That's a tough stretch. The game I'm most excited, I'll do it. The game I'm most excited to watch at home in Ford Field. It's probably going to be week 1. I know that's a chalky answer, but I want, like, Stafford's going to run out there again. He's going to get booed. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like I seriously, I'm with you. I like, there's a chance they could do a tribute video. I don't think you can do that until they when and if they induct him into the like pride of the Lions or whatever.
Yeah.
That's when he get his tribute video, guys. Like we're not here to make friends on week 1. We're here to beat you down and get a W. Okay, like that's how I'm going to look at it. I guarantee you that's how the fans are going to look at it too. It's
I was
week
gonna
1, going
say
to be
like that.
charged up.
Yeah, I was like week 1, everyone's gonna be charged up, and it's gonna be a madhouse, right? Sunday night
Yeah.
football, all the things. So no, I'm right there with you on that one.
And favorite like away game where I'm just chilling at the house. Give me that Texans game, Sunday, November 10th. It's going to be chilly out by then. Maybe have a fire going, and
Yeah,
that's going to be a fun little maybe potential Super Bowl matchup.
I like
Shoot,
it. A little preview to what could be, or at least what could be the future of
yeah, the
contenders.
league for a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm with you on that one. I gotta say for me, and again, I'm just still jaded. It is just I don't know. I'll let it go when the Lions come out on the winning side of it, but it's Cowboys. Take care of the
yes,
Cowboys in week 6, and like I'll be on cloud 9 for like a couple weeks, right? Um, I
good
do.
pick.
You got to get your get back on that one, and that's the one very much so like how you're feeling about week 1. Like I feel like Lions fans will come out in droves in Dallas and like try to take over Jerry World and make it like a home game type of atmosphere. So I'm really excited to watch that one. Uh, and I'm kind of with
It's a
you
good
again.
point.
Actually, the stretch that I'm like a little concerned about, and it's not even really a long stretch, but it's just the back to back of playing Packers Texans is a little like we. It's been a long time since we've seen the Lions drop back to back games. If when looking at the schedule, like that's a spot where I'm like, yo, that could be tough, right? Depending on like if the Packers are able to pick up the momentum that they had last year, if the Texans continue playing at a high level that they were playing at, those could be two really tough back to back games in the middle of your season.
That's a good point. Like, that could happen this year, folks, and it's going to be something we're going to have to watch too with the fan base, like us included. That when the Lions do have a tough stretch, because like over the last 27 games, they're 20-7, right? Like that's a crazy mark in the NFL, guys. Like no matter what you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
So if they do lose like 2 of 3 in a stretch, like the sky's not falling. There's a great football coach in charge of that team that's going to get them back on track. He's a pro. He's been there before. So, but at the same time, hopefully they don't. Hopefully they can have a nice season where they go 12-5 or 13-4 again. I hate those numbers, by the way. But I like your point about DTW to Dallas Fort Worth. That's an easy flight, man. A lot of people could, and that's a huge stadium.
Yeah. Pack it
It's a
out.
huge stadium.
Pack it out. Turn it
Honolulu
into
blue.
yeah. Absolutely.
And wear Honolulu blue on the road, guys. Someone brought that up, and I was like, "That's smart because it sticks out even more
Yeah.
if you
Even in
can
a place
play.
like Dallas, right? Like, yeah.
Sticks
But
out."
we gotta like all right, so before we wrap up this video, we gotta do the thing that, isn't really fun to do, but everybody expects it once the schedule comes out. What is your record prediction now that you've seen the schedule? If you had to throw one out there, not gonna hold you to the fire on it for the entire season, but if you had to set like, wins losses right now, what are you thinking?
Hmm. I'm gonna go 12-5 again. I was about to say 11-6, but I'm like, nah, man, this team's not gonna lose 6 games. They could, and that could still win the division. This is going to be a tough division. I don't think that's one thing we're going to have to keep in mind. Like if they do
Yeah.
finish 11-6, it's probably because the division got tougher. Although they lost games last year, but yeah, I think 12-5 and like that'd be fine. Just a repeat little NFC North championship, second in a row, and let's play one more game next year. That'd be ideal.
I'm gonna go with you on 12-5. I was right there with you at first too. I was thinking like 11-6, like, but I like the start of the season. The first 4 weeks seem very winnable, right? Not saying that they'll go perfect, but I think the likelihood of them going perfect is there. I think it's not as far fetched as maybe it's been in other past seasons. Um, but yeah, like I mean, I think that Cowboys game is going to be really tough, and that's where a first loss comes in. I think that Texans game is going to be really tough. Um, playing the Bears on a short week on Thanksgiving, that's going to be tough. So like, but I don't think it gets out of control, right? Obviously this is keeping in mind or not really factoring in what possible injuries could occur, and obviously hoping that the team stays healthy. But if they stay healthy, if everything is obviously clicking the way it's supposed to, at worst I see this team probably 11-6, but I'm gonna go 12-5 um, for the season.
I like it, man. And yeah, injuries are going to happen. That's just one of the things that is almost an inevitability in the NFL. But that's why you have a deep roster, and that's why you have the Pro Football Writers Association's Executive of the Year, Brad Holmes, at the helm. So we're
100%, man.
good.
So that's going to do it for us, guys. That's the entire Detroit Lions 2024-2025 schedule. We broke it all down. We highlighted some of the games that really caught our eye. Let us know what you guys are thinking in the comment section below. How are you feeling about the Lions having 9 nationally televised games, so many primetime games? And let us know, what are the games that you're most excited for? Where do you see the biggest issues, on this schedule? And like always, let us know your season prediction in the comment section below. Are you with me and Morgan? Do you guys feel optimistic that this team will go somewhere in the range of 12-5? Or do you see some pitfalls that maybe we didn't pick up on, and maybe you see the Lions kind of struggling this year? Let us know in the comment section. Also, be sure to check out prideofdetroit.com for all the latest news and articles that we have being uploaded over there. There's going to be so many more breakdowns of this schedule. Sorry, not just the roster, but the schedule now that's being released. And so you definitely don't want to miss out on all of that analysis. And like always, make sure that you are subscribed to the POD YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell. That way you can be notified every time we upload new articles over here on the YouTube channel. But with all that said, I'm Meko. He's Morgan. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch, and we will catch you guys in the next one.